Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Just Gay Stuff Podcast.
Hello.
I am Jess.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is Carly.
Hi.
So Carly is my absolute bestest friend.
Of how many years?
We did some quick math before, and I think we landed on 28 years.
Yeah, so we're turning 33. Been friends since we were 5.
Dagger in the heart.
Everybody went, oh no.
Just outed you as being old.
Everyone's like, oh, they sound so young. The veil has lifted.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's been a long time, but it's been a good time. It's not just, is it a good time or is it a long time? It's been both.
Ah, that's cute. Just quickly, how did you guys become best friends?
Do you know? I don't even know.
Oh.
We got shoved in the same grade 1 class and we were like, this is it.
Yep.
This is terrifying.
Pick your weirdo to spend some life with.
Just gravitated towards each other.
Although, quick story, I do remember the very first time that I went to your house.
Oh, no.
And we talk about this all the time.
Is this a true crime podcast now?
So we were in Carly's kitchen and she was like, oh, I'm going to show you around my house. And she opened the kitchen drawer and she's like, this is the biggest knife we own.
You made me sound so terrifying. I was like, this is cool. I'm going to show this off.
She's like, this isn't a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah. And then she had this bowl of fruit, but it had fake fruit in it. And then was like, and this is our banana, and went to peel the banana, but it was fake and it broke. And then I don't know why I was being such a wuss, but I was like, oh my God, she's showing me all these weird things. And I was on the stairs and then her phone rang and it was her cousin. And she's like, oh, this pussy on the stairs.
Oh, man. Honestly, my social skills haven't gotten any better since then.
And then the rest is history.
Yep.
The rest was 100% history. I feel like I have these little gem memories that come back every now and then.
So cool.
So, the reason we invited Carly on today, like other guests, is all of us have a unique experience when we have our own coming out story and our own journey. And so today, we want to hear from Carly because you are married.
Yes.
And you and your wife got married before the bill was passed in Australia.
Yes.
Wow.
So there's that aspect that we want to hear about as well.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, I think let's start at the very beginning. How about we start with your coming out story?
Okay. Oh, gosh. Diving right in there.
Just to put a little bit of pressure on you.
Just a little bit. To be honestly, it's messy. It's not, I think you have this idea of what it looks like or how your parents will react. And for me, it was a bit tough, but basically Jess and I went to a party when we were 16 and
Many a party at
well,
16.
to be fair, this was probably like our first big one, I guess. Anyway, underage drinking happened and little old me drank more than the 4 cruises I was supposed to drink.
no.
More than the 4 cruises Mum sent us with.
Yeah.
As
Thanks,
we all
Mum.
do.
Just a bit of underage drinking. And so we drank Malibu. There was all these other shots
Goon
happening,
sacks were
honestly.
going around.
Not the goon
And-
sacks.
I think it was the first time we'd played Goon of Fortune.
Yeah.
What the heck is goon
And
of fortune?
maybe King's Cup.
Yeah, King's Cup. Goon of Fortune is where you peg the goon bag
Oh,
on...
yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, well, our listeners might not,
I
Lauren.
didn't know what it was called.
So you peg the goon sack on a clothesline, one of the old Hills Hoist ones, and then you spin the clothesline and whoever it lands on has to then drink from the goon sack. So that's Goon of Fortune for anyone who has never played. And look, I don't recommend playing.
No,
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't
don't.
either.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of mixed drinking happening. And to be honest, I hadn't really had bad experience with alcohol.
Yeah.
So
This was your first.
it was way too much.
Don't
like
mix drink,
it
kids.
was horrendous. I don't tolerate alcohol as it is, so it was a bad combination. So anyway, this girl that I liked knew she kind of liked me back, but she was in a relationship
Yeah.
with a guy.
And it was high school, right? We were in high
Yeah,
school.
we were
so
like 16.
Yeah.
And so like a little bit of flirting had happened before this. And then, so I was obviously nervous
Yeah,
and
of
scared
course.
and drank too much. And then we kissed and that was like amazing. That's how
Yeah.
I knew. Yep, definitely gay. Anyway, so fast forward a few hours, I'm violently sick in the bathroom
Oh, no.
to a point where I'm like, look, just ring my mum. I don't care if I get in trouble. I just want to go home now. And so mum comes to pick me up. I basically army crawl to the car by this point. Jess is behind me and then go home very unwell. And I think it was maybe like a shock for my mum that this had
Yeah.
happened. Hadn't really acted like this before. So she went through my phone while I was
no.
basically unconscious.
She thought maybe you were a bit of a rebel child
Yeah,
now.
I think it was just maybe out of fear that she was like, I just kind of want to know what's going on. And so she read basically what had happened at the party because we had obviously messaged after I had left.
Yeah.
So that's how she found out about me. And so I wake up the next morning still very unwell and go to look at my phone and that message is open up on my phone.
Did your heart just die?
I was just like,
were you like
she
mortified?
knows.
Oh my
God. It was horrendous. It was probably the worst feeling than the actual hangover.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that this is no longer a secret. It's out there.
Yeah.
And so looking back as an adult now, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I probably would have done the same if it was my child.
Yeah.
You're worried. Like, it's
Yeah.
natural. And so, yeah, that's basically how obviously she told my dad.
Yeah.
And his response was funny. He was like, it's okay. I like women too. Like, it's fine. You know? From then on, I think maybe it was just the shock for mum. Like, it just was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it. She didn't know how to talk about it. So kind of just went on this like limbo-ish. It's not really
It's
there.
the,
Like it's
the eggshells kind
Yeah.
of feeling. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a few good probably months. Yeah, she's great now and wonderful. And, you know, they both all along always said, you know, we love you regardless. We don't care who
It's
you
not a
are.
factor
And
in what.
Yeah, it was probably
unconditional love.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more so maybe in my head that I wasn't ready to face this and now I have to.
Yeah.
But then that's also the thing of, I know that we had gay friends at school that did not have pleasant experiences.
Yeah.
We had a specific friend whose mum just didn't want to talk about their sexuality.
Yeah.
And they had continuously told us, oh, mum disapproves. My relationship with my mum is now dirt because of this. And I know that that's changed since. And as we grow up, I suppose there becomes more understanding.
yeah.
Also, another reason we're doing this podcast.
100%.
But that friend went through so much turmoil with their own self-discovery and their own sexuality. And both Carly and I were very close to this person. And so we saw what they went through.
Yeah.
And I guess that instills a fear in you because you know your parents more than other people know your parents.
But you still don't know how someone will react to something.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
still an outside thing. And
Like
I
a
think
slight
that's why we
unknown.
yeah.
put so much pressure on ourselves to be like, oh, I don't know if I can say this
Yeah.
or deal with this myself because of that reason.
And you maybe have in your head how you think it's going to go, or you imagine maybe that day of sitting them down and being like, hey, and then when that's gone, you're like, oh,
I'm here and I
Yeah.
didn't prepare for
yeah,
it.
you're like
Yeah.
suddenly in the spotlight that you didn't want to be in.
It's interesting because I spent that particular night with you.
Yes,
but I
you
had
spewed on my carpet.
I do. I also passed out on a pile of washing and spewed on our friend's carpet.
It was bright
beautiful.
pink.
And my spew was pink and the
Lovely.
carpet was white. And that stain is probably still there to this
It's
day,
haunted.
16 years later.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. But yeah, it's interesting for me to hear your version of events because I don't think I ever heard that side of it.
Yeah, this is probably the first time I've ever, aside from my wife, actually going back and really thinking about these moments that,
And how it all came to
yeah.
how did my mum and dad find out?
That's incredible. And I think it's very brave of you to share that with
Thank
us
you.
on the pod.
I think too, now that I'm older and because our relationship is great now and my mum's one of my best friends, you don't reflect on those things and you're just like, oh, it actually was really awkward. You know?
Yeah.
It was scary in that time. And because, I mean, I'm obviously really close with your mum as well. You always think, oh, because I definitely wasn't out yet. And I didn't even know that that was kind of your outing story. Because I remember when we turned 18, and because this was at 16.
Yeah.
When we turned 18 and we started going to the beat and things like that, I hadn't come out. Oh, I had told my mum when I was 16 that I had liked.
You liked girls, but you
Girls.
weren't.
But
out,
I'd never been
out.
in a relationship with
Yeah.
one. It wasn't until my first actual
relationship.
that I said to my mum, like I said in episode 1, oh, I'm dating this girl and she makes me happy and
Yeah.
and
this
that's,
is me.
That's that, yeah. But I don't think my mum knew your story,
No,
Because-
definitely not.
and I know your mum didn't know mine.
Yeah. I think as we got older and had those friends who were also gay and it just kind of became the norm. And I think maybe my mum's reaction was out of fear of like, I don't want this life for you. I don't want you to struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want you to have those negative interactions with other people. But yeah, as she saw it was normal, and we had really great friends who are gay, and it was just kind of like, yeah, cool, this
And
is fine.
speaking of friends who are gay, to me this is very interesting. And I said to Jess this morning, isn't it so interesting to see how two best friends completely different from each other had no idea, both suddenly are gay, came out in gay relationships.
We probably didn't even tell each other till maybe grade 11, 12,
Yeah, definitely
maybe.
in high school.
It was like pretty late in the game, and I think we both sort of maybe knew, but
Yeah,
like
I reckon.
neither of us really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Well, because you have so much fear. You've been my best friend for my whole life.
Yeah.
Imagine one thing changing that. That's so scary.
It is
terrifying.
And Carly has been my support system through my whole childhood. Imagine having that fear of losing your support system, which I know is a fear we've all had because we've all gone through this
definitely.
coming out.
100%. I am the same. My best friend has been my best friend for 5 years, and I remember saying, like, having that fear. And being
She's
like,
been
oh
your
my
best
God.
friend for more than 5
I meant
years.
since I was-
25 years.
Sorry, I meant to say since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, 25 years. I'll correct you on that one.
Yeah.
I know you.
Thank you. And just, having that fear. But she was like, when I came out to her and was like, I'm gay, she's like, yeah, duh.
you're like, well, you could have told me.
Literally, that's what I said to her. I was like, why didn't you tell me? And I remember this specific thing of her buying me a zoo calendar with all the women in it. And I'm like,
At
So
the time, you're
supportive.
like, why is she buying me
Yeah,
this?
I was like, why didn't I think of this before?
I also think we unintentionally gravitate to people who are similar to us without even touching on those similar subjects.
Yeah.
Our friends at school, there's probably a good 4 or 5 of us that
Yeah, quite a few.
are now in queer relationships.
Yeah.
We just had no idea.
Yeah.
It would have been handy to know in high school.
Absolutely.
You know?
We wouldn't have felt so
But
isolated.
I'm guessing everybody had that fear, so you were all playing that gay chicken, I
We're all
guess.
just hiding.
Gay chicken. Have you ever played gay chicken? Raise your hand.
Yes.
So obviously after coming out and after high school, once you're out in the open, we all start to explore that sexuality. Tell us more about that exploration. Obviously, I mentioned we would go to the beat.
Yeah.
And I remember the first night we went there, it was like, I thought it was like the claw machine. Like you just grab who you want and you're like,
I'll take that one. Thank you.
Now I'm just picturing the claw machine from Toy Story.
But obviously, Lauren and I have talked about on the pod before worst first dates. So
yeah.
what was your experience dating women when you first came out? And do you have a worst first date or a worst experience? Worse than the 16-year-old drinking, spewing?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get worse than that,
I was going to
honestly.
say, try and top that one.
I don't know if Carly was going to say this in the story, but I 100% remember the girl she was talking about liked her that much. She made a bowl with her hands for Carly to spew in.
That was after we were in the toilets, and obviously I couldn't spew for it, so she shoved her hand down my throat to make me spew.
So helpful.
Honestly, what a trooper.
That's very romantic.
That's so romantic. Wasn't
You
even
can't
Valentine's
ask for
Day.
much more than that, honestly. Oh, man. I had a lot of situationships, I guess the kids would call it these days.
Kids.
Situationship.
Yeah, I probably avoided dates and didn't really go on that many, but one that stands out, I think we had gone out for your birthday, and the one you had hired a Hummer and a stretch Hummer, and
My
so
20th,
we
yeah.
went into the
Fancy.
beat, and she like approached us, but she was asking about our straight male friend for her friend.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, he's straight, but I'm not. And then so like we only kissed and stuff, and then we talked over, Facebook and stuff, and then eventually she lived a little bit away, so she was like, oh, I'm gonna like travel to Brisbane, we can go to the movies and whatever, and it was just so awkward. So she came down and we were waiting at my house for you to arrive.
Why was I
Always
coming?
waiting for
Maybe I was that terrified that I'm like, you know what, in case this is terrible, just come along.
It's turning into a
I'll sit
throuple
beside you
story.
with the newspaper and the eye holes cut out.
So I remember just sitting in my room and she's there and messaging you being like, hurry up, how far away are you?
I don't even
Let's get
remember
this.
this.
You were dating a boy at the time, so maybe you
typical.
blocked it out.
Typical.
I think we were seeing a scary movie with Scream and anyway, we lined up, bought our tickets, and I remember she just immediately lost her ticket as we got out of line. She was like, I don't have my ticket anymore.
What?
And I'm just like, Like, how does that happen? And so I think pretty early on, maybe we both felt there's nothing there.
Yeah, it's not happening.
And so it was just this awkwardness. And because she had travelled so far, she had to stay over.
Oh, no.
Had to stay over.
Had
I mean,
to.
she could have driven home.
No, that's the thing. She didn't drive. So she caught a train from the coast to Brisbane. And then I had to pick her up from West End and then drive all the way back. It was this whole thing. Anyway, so she was stuck at my house overnight and she didn't want to be there. I didn't want her to be there. It was just this awkward thing. And I had to drive her to the city the next day. And then I get this call, oh, you were supposed to be in at work today. And so I was it was this whole bad time that I'm like, frantic. And yeah, so and then she just kind of ghosted me after that, and which was probably a good thing. But at the time, you're just like, what the hell happened?
Was this the same person that hired a DVD for you guys to watch and then you had to drop the DVD back?
I think that was someone else.
Oh, okay.
I think you've confused them. Yeah, that was another thing. Except
Getting ahead of yourself there, Jess.
Well, I don't know.
the DVD we watched was Human Centipede.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? I thought it was Paul.
No,
I thought you were going to say porn then.
No, that's why she didn't want to
That's the
stay.
second date.
And that's why Carly didn't want her to keep staying.
yeah, no, I think you're thinking Paul because the first girl you thought she looked like someone out of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You've got your lines crossed.
Right. Yep. I got it.
Yeah, no, don't recommend watching that movie on a date.
Human Centipede.
Yeah,
It's a bit
it
full
doesn't
on.
really set the mood.
I honestly don't recommend watching that movie at all.
No. I have regrets.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, pretty smooth sailing, I think.
Yeah. I don't think I sent you this question ahead of time, but
Oh, no.
do you want to tell the story of how you met your wife?
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay.
So you and I were playing in a band and
We still are, but different band.
Yeah, different one.
Just
still going strong. So we had a gig at the local skate park and one of our mutual friends that loved our band obviously invited one of their friends and was like, hey, I love this band. She was obsessed with the lead singer and
Who was that?
yeah.
It was
And,
it was me.
Yeah, I gathered that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I always go for the lead singers.
Yeah. It's terrible.
So yeah, she invited her friend along and then her friend came along and she was like, oh yeah, but who's the drummer?
Oh, yeah.
And at the time I was kind
Look at
of
this
just
tall
like,
drink of water.
Oh, wait. So they were trying to set her up with Jess first.
No, I think
No.
she was
Oh.
kind of just like, oh, like I'm obsessed with this singer and like
okay,
look at
okay.
this band. And
I think she wanted her friend to see what she saw in me, but her friend was like, oh, the drummer though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. And then I think from there, I kind of thought, no way in hell. She's out of my league.
Because presents very femme.
Yeah,
Very.
she
Presents
does
very
present
femme.
very femme.
Would never have probably even guessed that she liked girls at all. And
And if you ask her today, she only likes you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So she wouldn't even classify herself as a lesbian. Yeah.
Very hard to pick. And then from there, she came to a couple of other gigs and eventually, I think I said to that mutual friend, I was like, oh, I'm going to marry her one day.
Did you?
It's just like an offhanded me being just an idiot.
Yeah.
Just said it,
That's
never
so cute,
believing
though.
it, you know. Here we are today, married.
Wow.
After
You
been together.
manifested that shit.
I did.
Yeah.
My manifestation skills are so strong,
Yeah.
honestly.
Well, can you manifest some real good shit for this podcast?
I'll try. Just tell me what you want.
Oh, we want this to go worldwide, everyone to be
Viral.
able to hear stories, it to change people's lives.
Some income would be nice.
I'll do my best for you.
Just
But we're not about that income. We're just
Acting-
more about the awareness.
acting as a support network for people who are going through tough times, and we can be that voice in the ear that says you aren't alone. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a positive thing because even with my coming out story being, you know, it wasn't all roses and great, but I think for people to hear that someone's initial reaction may not be their reaction forever.
Yeah.
And, you know, people can come around and,
Very
you know,
important.
it's,
Yes.
it's not that way forever. So,
so back to your wife.
yes.
So then you guys ended up getting married before the bill was passed in Australia.
We did.
So
yes.
tell us that story, and did you experience any homophobia along the way? How did you find your celebrant, knowing that
Yeah, wow.
before it was legalized, you had to find someone willing to marry you as a same-sex couple?
So basically, we had been engaged for like a couple of years at this point, and we just got to the stage where we're like, I don't want to wait for the government basically to be
Yeah.
like, this is okay, you can have this. And at the time, my wife Amanda, she was quite sick, and in her eyes, she was like, you know, I want you to be able to make medical decisions
On her
if
behalf.
it came
Her
to it.
behalf,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, it kind of just got to a point where we were like, we do want to get married. We had talked about wedding stuff, and she came home one day and she was like, we should just elope. And like, it hadn't even crossed my mind. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what
Yeah.
does that
Yeah.
involve? And we basically found this company, and they provided the celebrant, they provide your bouquet, they organize location, basically everything for you. And we had to organize ourselves in 8 weeks.
Wow.
So we worked out what we wanted to wear. Amanda had a dress made from scratch in 8 weeks. And yeah, so we picked the spot. And I think along the way of planning a wedding and, you know, thinking about, oh, we want to invite these people, obviously, and it just got too big. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, no, we just want the day to be about like you and me
Yeah.
and our dog Arch, because we
Yeah.
didn't have Miller at the time. So he was the best man.
Yeah, that's so cute.
And so, yeah, it was literally just us two. We had our celebrant, our photographer. We hired a girl off the internet for like $30 to come around, hold Arch when he needed to be held. And she picked up his dog poo when he decided to do like one right in the middle. So it was just really special, and it just got to be between us two. And then we organised a surprise. It was supposed to be for my birthday afterwards. We kind of just surprised everyone. Arrived. Yep, we got married. You know,
Surprise
this
wedding.
is our like after party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think there's something so special about that elopement
Yeah.
factor, because you do get to share that intimacy.
Yeah, everyone we meet, I'm like, just elope. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, it will save you a
Save
ton
you
of
so
money.
much money.
And it makes the experience just so much more personal. And
Plus, you avoid that awkwardness where you might have acquaintances that aren't quite friends, but you know they would be upset if you didn't invite them.
Of course, everyone wants to be at your wedding.
But
you know.
then it becomes the cost of a meal, the cost
Yeah.
of the venue,
That's
the
too
cost
expensive.
of... And then you end up paying for all these people that just wanted to come and support you, but may not be as close as your inner circle.
And obviously in queer relationships, I know you and I have spoken about it, when you eventually get to the fact of speaking about children, whether that's a thing you want to do or not. There, a lot of money goes into that, because obviously
Exactly.
all the IVF. So, you know, if you can save money on eloping,
Exactly.
it's still special to you. It just saves money somewhere else.
yeah.
And we're both really not showy people. So the idea of just a whole room of people watching us get married, it would have taken away that specialness of, you know,
Yeah.
as it was, because we eloped in Budrum Forest. A few people that were bushwalking or like kind of stopped and were watching, but
Had a
yeah,
sneaky
it was
peek.
nice. Yeah. In the moment, you kind of really don't notice. So
Yeah. You're too engrossed in what's going on in your own little bubble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you didn't find any homophobia or anything when reaching out to these companies?
No, I think the celebrant, he was always just great about all of that, and he just treated us like we were any other couple, you know.
That's lovely.
And talking about the homophobia stuff, I only remember encountering one moment that stands out, and it was when we were doing our engagement shoot with you on
Yeah,
the beach. You were
yeah.
taking photos, and then as we went to leave and walk up from the beach, this guy walked past us and he was like, oh, y'all need Jesus.
Yeah.
And we were kind of just like,
What?
okay, cool.
You're like, no, you need Jesus.
Yeah. It was just like, what did that achieve?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's one thing that I will never understand about people who yell out and make comments is your comment is not, as you said, is not achieving anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You're literally just talking at a person.
Yeah.
They're not listening to you because, A, it's none of your fucking business what we're
Yeah.
doing anyway. But you're not getting through to somebody. And there's nothing to get through about. So
No.
just
like
mind
I'm suddenly
going to
go, oh, actually, yeah, you're right.
You're right. Shit, I did.
Sorry, Amanda. Like,
in
had a
that
realization.
moment that he said that, you just pushed her into the water and went, oh, I need
Jesus.
Jesus.
I don't know what he's going to do for me.
That's what he thought you were going to do by yelling
I
at
find
know.
that so funny. Jesus is the biggest gay non-binary person out there.
We had someone comment that on our YouTube. That
yeah, the YouTube.
Oh,
comment.
really?
Yeah, they were like, Jesus is non-binary, Jesus is transgender, Jesus loves everybody, so y'all can fuck off with your...
Jesus had all the big orgies with everyone. He didn't care.
But ultimately, just touching on the religious side of things, there are so many churches that are inclusive
Exactly.
now.
Yeah.
So if religion was really something stopping you from being with someone of the same sex, do you think that they would have inclusive churches? No.
No.
At the end of the
Exactly.
day, we all know that religion is how you interpret it. And it's
love is love.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
If you're not hurting anyone, then
yeah.
there should be no issue.
If you're two consensual adults, then how about
Go
that?
for
off.
your life.
Yeah, so no other homophobia. That's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, I think Amanda and I were really not PDA kind of people.
Yeah.
So to the public, you probably wouldn't guess that we're together, I guess, in terms of just being out in the valley, or you get those throwaway comments. We had this one guy, we were literally just dancing in a nightclub. It was a straight club. That was our first mistake. Yeah, literally just dancing. That was it. Nothing else. We could have just looked like two friends. He like come up to us and he was like, oh, you should kiss and blah, blah, blah. And
you should have been like, nah, bro, that's my sister.
we're related. Normally I would avoid confrontation and just ignore it, go away, whatever. He just kept pushing and it got to a point where he was like, use the sluts. Got really like
derogatory.
Yeah. And I just had enough and I just turned around, I shoved him so hard and he fell over. Like he was this massive guy.
Hell yeah,
I don't
strength
know-
girl.
I don't know what come over me. We like legged it out of there after that. We have to go.
Yeah.
And just things like that where you're like, now I'm conscious of how I look in public, how I present to other people, in fear that that is like another scenario that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I can handle myself. I don't want my partner to get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what's so sad, right? We all in this room have experienced some form of that hypersexualization.
Exactly.
Being women in queer relationships.
the worst thing that comes from that is in the straight club, you're shoving the guy, you're the one that got physical. So then people will look at you like, oh, she shouldn't have done that.
Exactly.
But it's like, people push you to a point and nobody talks about that point.
Exactly.
And
Nobody
I hate
goes-
the fact that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
you're
off.
right.
I hate the fact that now, because of that one encounter, you constantly live in that fear. Live in that
it really
position.
did change. Yeah. Even just to the point of like holding hands, I'm just like, is it really worth it having that interaction with someone?
And then walking through a crowded space, you see all these straight couples be able to freely
Exactly.
be themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something I'm definitely still working on it. Like I want to get back to that place where I'm like, no, I should be allowed to hold my wife's hand in public.
Yeah.
That should be okay. And it's gradually getting there, but it's changing your own mindset out of, feeling that way.
But it is that push and pull in your brain going, if I get a comment, was the hand holding worth it?
Exactly.
Is it going to ruin my day? Is that worth ruining my day?
Yeah.
I think probably now more so walking through the shops or whatever, I'm like, this is okay. It's semi a safe space. There's enough people around where it's you're more likely someone to have your back than experience more homophobia on top of someone else's.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just got to pick your places. And if you feel safe enough, that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And if you don't, leg it the fuck out of there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
One thing we didn't ask after your coming out story was, when you look back at your childhood now, do you have the light bulb moments going, I definitely was gay?
I do.
The little gay dings went off.
I think I had when you would meet different females and you, from a very early age, I knew, oh, this feels odd. Like I had male best friends and aside from you, obviously.
Yeah.
But I tended to more gravitate towards that. And then certain other females or like older neighborhood kids. And
Yeah.
you just had the feeling that you didn't know what it was, but it was kind of just there. And then it wasn't until like maybe grade 7-ish that it kind of got crushes, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is
It's
not
a bit
going
more than
away.
a friendship
like,
feels.
yeah, it's still there. From there, it was just crush after crush, and then me backpedaling, dating boys, trying to like push that down. And yeah, it obviously just doesn't go away. It doesn't work. So
What were some of the celebrity
I
crushes?
was about to say that. I was going to say, speaking of these light bulb moments and those feelings, we've
Carly
got some
and I-
celebrity crushes going on here.
We used to have a face-off with the OC because she was a Seth girl and I was a Ryan
yeah,
girl.
you were.
But now coming down to it, I was a definite Alex girl.
I was going to say,
See, I was a summer girl.
Oh, yeah, see?
yeah, I would go summer girl.
Yeah. We were always opposites.
Yeah.
Opposites. Maybe
I
we made
remember,
besties.
actually, it's funny. I remember when we both came out and we were openly out to family and friends, your brother was like, why didn't you ever date? And And I was like,
We're both just like, ew.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like dating your sister.
exactly.
yeah.
We've known each other for far too long and been in a family unit situation
Exactly.
for far too long.
Yeah, it's too weird.
That would be weird.
First crushes, I guess, maybe probably like the Veronicas.
Yeah. And
Trying
then
to
you
think
briefly
now.
dated that girl that kind of looked like a Veronica.
yeah?
I was obsessed. I was like, yeah, date her.
She thought she looked like her too.
Yeah.
Good for her. Yeah, so in terms of like celebrities, I remember we watched that movie 13.
I was
You
just
literally
talking
told
to
me
Lauren
about
about
this
this
today.
morning.
I haven't seen it.
We haven't done our episode on TVs and movies,
Yet.
TVs and movies, TV shows and movies yet.
Okay.
But 13 was the very first movie that you and I watched that
Yes.
had.
It was like a lesbian.
That queer
Yeah.
representation.
Well, it wasn't queer representation, but it was a girl-on-girl kiss.
Ooh.
There was
Yeah.
the first time I'd seen that
you said
in a
girl
movie.
on girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Involved Nikki Reed.
Yeah, and Evan Rachel Wood.
I showed that movie to Amanda literally the other week, and because it was so old, the
The graphics.
quality is terrible, and she's just like, this is horrible. I'm like, no, like you don't get it. Like this is like a huge movie, and I just remember when we were kids, and you would rewind
Yeah,
that kiss.
rewind the kiss
You
scene.
rewound it like maybe like 50
Did you guys
times.
100%.
break the video?
Do you know, I had a Game Boy with a camera, Game Boy camera. I was taking photos of it with the Game Boy camera. And at that time, we weren't out.
No, definitely not.
You're
And
like,
I don't think
should have known then.
We
Yeah.
basically never even really talked about it. We were just like,
But we
yep.
were both like, fuck, let's watch that again. And again.
all right.
And again. And again.
And then we got here.
Yeah.
And now we're here on Just Gay Stuff podcast.
Yeah, aside from that, I mean,
So Rachel Bilson, because you were a summer girl.
yeah.
Yeah, I see
I'm
that.
trying to think. I should have written a list.
You should have. Okay,
Like growing up crushes.
here's the big debate. What do you think of Kristen Stewart?
Back in the early Twilight days, I probably could have left her, you know.
But now you won't.
Maybe, nowadays she's really come into her own and she's comfortable, I guess. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
who she's supposed to be. And
It's the
I think,
confidence.
yeah, that's more attractive than anything.
Celebrity crushes now.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Fletcher.
I was going to say, if Fletcher's not one.
Top of the list would be Fletcher. Megan Fox.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see it.
What?
Lauren's not a Megan Fox girl.
I'm not. We have
Nah.
this conversation all the time
I haven't talked about this before on, the pod.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
I break up my women crushes into cake.
Okay.
Think of it like as a wedding cake. So you have top tier, middle tier. So top tier, second tier, third tier.
Okay.
Top tier is you would marry the shit out of that person.
Yeah, gotcha.
Second tier is you would date them, unsure if you would marry them, but
Okay.
they're 100% dateable. Third tier, maybe like a wham bam, thank you ma'am.
Situationship.
Okay. Yeah.
More than once. Yeah,
Yeah.
situationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then birthday cake.
This is the separate
My
Coles
gosh.
cake on the side.
I consider Megan Fox birthday cake.
This is
What?
the you won't take home to mama.
Yeah, birthday cake. You will enjoy the fuck out of that, but you would never take her home to your mum.
Oh, okay. All right. That's a lot of thought has gone into that.
She really
obviously.
did. She thought about it.
Oh, because I consider Megan Fox to be really on that edge of she is dead hot, sexy, but I'm just not sure I could ever introduce her to my mum because she, like, you know what I mean?
I can
Like,
I can kind of see that where in
Like, she
terms of
wears-
like you don't even really know what she would be like.
No.
Really,
Yeah.
you're basically just going off of a look
Yeah.
that you like, but you're kind of like, yeah, what would she even be like?
I
Really?
don't think she's ever come across in a video personality wise.
Yeah.
And she wears that vial of blood.
I'm convinced she's either just a robot or AI or
Or a
there's something
vampire.
under there
Yeah.
that is not human.
Well, she doesn't age.
Exactly. And
That's
she keeps
true.
getting better looking. Like, how does that?
Yeah. I think the thing that got me, and it was sexy as hell, so don't get me wrong, I loved it. But when she was dating Machine Gun Kelly and he had her on a leash, and then I was like, I could never take her home to my mum.
Not after that.
Not after that.
Not with her on a leash.
No. Come on, Megan.
Little Meeks.
So that's my explanation
Okay.
of tiers of women.
I think I've just never really thought that in depth over it, where I'm just like, I like what I like,
Carly's
and that's
like,
it.
you're weird,
Like,
man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a shit what my mum thinks.
This is why we didn't talk about coming out
Yeah,
together.
no. I'm like, I just don't get you, man.
I was in this burrow digging a hole and Carly was just like, I have this crush on this girl. And I was like, okay. I'm like, it's more than that. It's a birthday cake.
There are layers. Yeah, no, I think, I would put Fletcher and Megan Fox top tier.
Yeah.
Fletcher more personality, but Megan Fox definitely just on a look alone.
Yeah.
I'm that shallow.
She's love at first sight.
Now, on speaking on that, do you have a hall pass?
I do, it's Fletcher. Much to my wife's
Dismay.
disgust. And she just doesn't understand the whole pass thing. She doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Just
lies. She's just not telling you. She's out of fear that you might
It's a straight boy.
not agree.
I don't know. We were having this conversation the other day after your episode on Hall Pass. And she was saying, I just don't have one. I would have to know them first.
Yeah.
It's not just... And I was laughing because I'm like, Fletcher's mine, but I know if I was in a room with Fletcher, I wouldn't be able to talk to her. Like,
No,
who am I
yeah,
kidding?
yeah.
It's not going to lead to that.
But then
Yeah.
she released that video that said, I'd date a fan if they gave me wine and cheese. So
I
give
did
her
see
wine and
that.
cheese.
I saw that. But then, of course, she's going to say that.
Yeah.
Every fan out there is now like,
I was going
ooh,
to
I
say,
have a chance.
imagine
Yeah.
all the lesbians just rushing.
She's not going to be like, ew, a fan. No.
Yeah, that was full marketing. Now everyone thinks they have a chance, so they're
it's
going to
definitely
go.
a ploy.
Yeah.
It sucked me in though. I fell for it.
Carly's at Woolworths buying cheese, and then in Dan Murphy's buying wine.
I'm
Suddenly all
now.
the cheese and wine is gone from the shelves.
I'm just stocking it just in case.
Oh, well, this has been a good episode. It's
This
been
was such
so
a fun
good.
one.
Oh, I feel like I've got a lot out.
Yeah. Was
I
it
feel like a
therapeutic?
therapeutic
It was a
session.
bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll come back.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you
We're going to
should.
start charging by the hour. No, I'm kidding.
This is therapy now. I definitely needed it.
Okay, you know the catchphrase, right?
I do.
Okay,
I
so
do.
to end this episode, remember to...
Stay gay, motherfuckers.
Woohoo!
Peace.
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.